Everyone who's watching to our today's stream, New in AI, where we check out the latest releases and updates in the AI space. With me is Emmanuel. You probably know him by now. And
Hi everyone.
we will discuss the most recent releases in this space. Today or last week was a very busy week. We had a lot of releases. And so let's jump right into this week. And check out what was released. So the first thing right here is an open source project. You can also find it on GitHub. It's called Olama. And this project basically helps you with getting up and running Llama 2 and other large language models locally. I know from experience that this is sometimes very hard to do or very painful because you have all these different architectures. And it's not easy to run these kinds of different models. But now basically they have this client where you can easily first download the model and then run basically an API endpoint for all these different kinds of open source models. It's super cool to see that this also has the thing that we talked about in last stream. So this Mistral model 7B, it's a very powerful
Mhm.
small model. And then all the popular open source models like Llama 2, Code Llama, also the smaller versions of Llama, Orca, and even the Vicuna model. But super awesome to see this basically. It's always great if things basically get easier. Um, yeah,
Yeah, of course, it opens the opportunity of more people to jump in the
hmm
train. I think I haven't seen, or I don't know if I don't remember seeing anything like this before. So this is one of those things, new things, seeing over here.
yeah. And basically, like I said, this will just spin up an endpoint locally to then basically do inference on these models.
Yeah,
Um,
very practical.
yeah, definitely. Because I would say that probably right now, maybe 95% of actual large language model users are using the GPT model in some form, basically through
Yeah, that's
ChatGPT
true.
or through some other way. Yeah, so it's nice to see some movement to the open source models.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You have to hand it that it's fairly easy to use the GPT models, mainly
Yeah,
because we don't have to set up anything, it's just calling an endpoint. So I can 100% see why this is the case. So yeah, this is a great tool to start seeing maybe more projects based on open source models.
yeah, definitely. Of course, you need some hardware to actually run these models. So right here, they claim that you should use 8 gigabytes of RAM. I guess they're also referring to VRAM in this example. For the 3 billion models, 16 for 7 billion, and 32 for 13 billion models.
Hmm.
But yes. All right, so if you are watching and you want to check this out, you can either just search for this on GitHub, or you will find all of the links in the description or on our LabLab Discord. All right, then let's jump over to our next topic, which is a release from. Oh no, we're coming to the meta release later, but this is something very interesting. So basically, this is an audio to video generation pipeline, which sounds pretty interesting because going from audio to video, we have not seen this yet in these streams. Basically, audio in, there are some different steps here in the middle to actually generate the video. So this is actually using a text to video image here at the end. So they first basically go from text to from audio to text, then again from text to video. But you kind of also have to match the audio to the text and know when something specific is happening. So they have this example of fireworks right here. And while generating text, you would also have to know when the fireworks actually explode to then show this in the video. And we can have a quick listen and look at these examples right here. It's a very short example, but you can see that going from audio to this video is still kind of cool. Um, We have some underwater bubbling. Okay, we have this diver right there. Yeah, so very interesting stuff.
Yeah, so the right, it's like a different, I guess, model. I think it's set at the
Yeah,
top.
it's this.
So,
We actually covered this in
oh yes, yes, true.
the in some streams ago. Yeah, but you can see that these results definitely are something. So
Yes,
uh,
yeah, definitely an improvement compared to the others. This is always a little bit creepy the first time you see this type of things.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, this also pretty nice. I can imagine this being useful for also some kind of background video generation. So I've seen these
Yeah,
videos on YouTube with this calming, raining sound
sound. I was
effects.
thinking
Um,
exactly the same. Just like a thunderstorm, like 10-hour videos.
yeah, exactly. And maybe this would be something useful for this domain.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely cool to see this. Yeah. And they also do this joint audio text video generation. So they pass in the audio and also a description of the video. And this is basically how the prompt for this looks like. Yeah, and then basically the video has combined all these things from the prompt.
Yeah, I guess this comes next to a paper or something like that. But you can see that at least the size of the clips is small. I guess the resolution doesn't go too far yet,
Hmm.
but it for sure looks like something interesting.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, yes, so this is just something very interesting to note. You can also find the code on GitHub right here if you want to dive deeper into this and maybe generate your own small videos. So there's everything you need in here. Yeah, and maybe with this, let's jump over to our next topic.
Hmm.
So this is coming from Getty Images. I'm sure that everyone knows Getty Images. They're basically one of the biggest stock image platforms out there.
Hmm.
And now they have partnered with NVIDIA to create their own. Okay, wait, this is German. Maybe I can translate this back to English. Uh, let's see.
Interesting partnership, though.
Um, yes, definitely. NVIDIA has had some partnerships, but yeah, very cool that they now partner up with these kinds of platforms to do this.
Yeah. Also, now that we talk about Getty Images, like it makes you wonder what's the like what will be the result for these type of services now that we have like this image generation and all these things that just are getting better and better, and at some point it's going to be pretty much a like fairly equal substitute from stock images, I think.
Yeah, for sure. When I saw basically the first time I used Dolly, my first thoughts was immediately about these stock images websites and that they basically will go out of business within just a couple of months or a few years at least. Um, so yeah, that they are now partnering up with basically these compute providers is a very interesting and cool move. So this basically right here says that you can ask for a demo from them. So this is actually not publicly available yet. What I'm wondering about here is, do they actually have some kind of advantage by having all of these different stock images basically just ready to go and ready as training data? Um,
Yeah, I
or
I agree.
or does
Like,
it
what's
make
the difference?
yeah?
Yes,
Or
because sorry, go.
maybe it's better to just scrape the entire internet and then have more low quality pictures than some high quality ones. Um, that would be my main question with this.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I guess it's hard for like a stock image to compete against the flexibility that you have in a generative model, because pretty much of course it depends on how good do you become at managing these prompts, but it you can get like very specific details. that like with stock images you had to settle with whatever it's closest to what you were looking for.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I guess we've looked at the Adobe Firefly image generation in 2 streams ago or last stream, I'm not
Yes.
sure. This actually looks very similar, where you can basically choose aspect ratio, color, and mood. Yeah, maybe they also have some themes going on. Yeah, or right here you can choose the content type, so photo or illustration. I guess this is already some kind of style, you could say. So yeah, very cool to see this. I'm sorry that this isn't German, but yeah, you get the idea.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess that's the tendency that all like stock image companies would have to like adopt
mhm,
the to compete in this like new market, I guess, because otherwise there's no way they can compete. And even though like even if they become like generative AI companies, well, there's like already lots of options out there. So
yeah,
might be interesting to see what that race turns out to be.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess this intense competition will definitely drive them to create better products, and in the end, this is just a very good thing for the general user.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, like with things like Adobe Firefly, we can say that there's an edge there because they can easily incorporate that in their products, which is something that we've been seeing lately when you have like this AI built in within a different type of like service.
mhm,
But yeah, like it makes me really curious what these companies are going to do to avoid like I guess losing their market and well everything the company stands for, I guess.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, all right. Then let's jump maybe over to, now we have the paper that basically was released from Meta. So basically, they created this new type of chain. So they call it chain of verification, reduces hallucinations in large language models. We know that hallucinations are a big problem. And basically, they came up, or this method is actually a little bit older because we already know that large language models can improve their own responses dramatically. Yeah, but this is again just this new method in a paper. So yeah, they call it chain of verification, and we have this example right here. So we
Yeah,
have
if I'm
the
not mistaken, this is just a prompt like type of technique. I might be wrong though, but that's what I saw not so long ago about this exactly. So yeah,
well,
sorry.
it's a little bit more than a
Let's see.
prompt. So they really then iterate on the first prompt. So basically, they
Hmm.
have the user's request or query input, whatever, right here. So name some politicians who were born in New York. Then we have the LLM generated response.
Hmm.
Then we have the second component, which then checks on the response and actually plans a verification. So right here we have, where was Hillary Clinton born, where was Donald Trump born, and Michael Bloomberg born. Yeah, and then it just continues with all the questions that basically need verification. And then it executes this verification. Um, it's important to note that this does not use any tools currently. So they mentioned this in the paper, that this will only get verified basically by the large language model.
Hmm.
So yeah, I guess you could even improve on this by then, adding tools, web sources, or maybe just context retrieval from embeddings. But yeah, very interesting to see this. Yeah, and then the last step is to just generate the final response after the actual verification. Yeah, and then we know that this is a more likely true answer than the previous generation. And they also show some benchmarks um, right here. So here at the bottom, you can see this new method right here. So we have the zero shot, we have the chain of thought chain, and we have a few shot examples. And you can
Hmm.
see right here that the precision really gets boosted a lot by this method. Yeah, and you can only imagine that this basically will only improve if you add tools, web searching capabilities, things like this. But yeah, it's crazy to see such an increase in the precision just by chaining some prompts together, basically.
Yeah, I guess it uses the fact that an LLM it's more likely to be accurate given a very specific questions, because otherwise, like in this example that it asked, like how many what was the question? Like which presidents, or let's say presidents, which presidents come from, it wasn't
New
president,
York,
which
born in New
politicians,
York.
sorry, born in New York. Then it starts listing, and then it's just like politicians, and then it just keeps listing politicians,
Hmm.
and some sort of like deviation, I, to say. But yeah, yeah, it's almost double the precision, I believe.
Yeah, you can compare
Um,
it here to these other models. Um, yeah. Um, all right, so let's jump over to the next article, and this is also something very interesting.
mhm.
So this is basically a prompt engineering guide from Anthropic for Claude. Yeah, they basically tell you how to really get all of the power out of these models with the long context window, and they go through a couple of things, yeah, that you can improve basically when you want better results with large context sizes. Um, yeah, if you're interested in this, you will also find a link to this in the description or on our LabLab Discord. Yeah, I really recommend if you're building some kind of product or just casually using Claude for your everyday tasks, then this is probably very helpful. This directly leads to another topic. So Anthropic is introducing the Anthropic Cookbook. And this is something very nice because OpenAI has also done this in the past. And this has been a very, very useful resource, at least for me, with all kinds of different topics, or you could say use cases for the OpenAI API. And now they have released their own cookbook. There aren't a lot of examples in there right now. So there are two things that I want to point out here is uploading PDFs to Cloud via the API. So yeah, I recommend checking this out. And they also do this iteratively searching Wikipedia with Claude. So I guess these are just really great examples or use cases on how to actually use the Claude API. Have you ever
Y-
checked out the OpenAI cookbook?
No, I have not actually.
Okay,
It's
okay.
very interesting seeing it implemented here. Also, it's very important, something that a lot of people like, I guess, undervalue. It's understanding how to use these things, because as easy as it is to interact with a language model, like there's so much more like juice that you can take out of it if you know how to handle it. In we have this like long window context, which I didn't think honestly before, but yeah, it makes sense that there might be better ways to go about them. So yeah, this is pretty cool to see. For sure, worth read if you're working with language models on a regular basis.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I hope we will get more examples in this Anthropic cookbook right here, because yeah, Anthropic is still the or one of the biggest model in terms of context size. So yeah, having some examples on how to actually use this would be very helpful.
Yes.
Um, all right, and I guess that's it already for today. I just read that we have another stream in 10 minutes, so we kind of have to clear the yeah the stream. Um, but yes, if you find these technologies interesting, make sure to follow us everywhere. So we have Twitter, we are on GitHub. You can also contribute to our open source articles, tech pages. We have a bunch of projects right here that you can also check out. It's a great place to learn. Yes, you can also stay up to date on Instagram. We also post a lot of content on there. You can join our LabLab Discord. Yeah, and you can also watch the recent streams on YouTube, and we also have more tutorial content on here. Yes, so if you found this interesting, check out LabLab AI. Here are all of our upcoming hackathons. The AutoGPT hackathon is currently live. So yeah, if you are interested in this, I think you can still join. Or you go for one of our future hackathons, for example, the Open Interpreter hackathon or Build Your AI Startup hackathon. Yes, so it's a great place to just find a team, learn a lot of new things, and build really cool applications. Yeah, I guess that's it for today. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here.
Bye, everyone.
And yeah, bye everyone. Have a great